MMC TV USA. Now on POTV, Channel 100.
Well, hello there once again and welcome to MMC World Roundup, bringing you news from Sri Lanka and across the globe. To get started, let's take a look at your headlines first.
World Health Organization says Sri Lanka is free from deadly hepatitis B disease. Sri Lanka has lost 50 elephants last year due to unauthorized and illegal use of power lines. Transport Ministry to issue permanent driving licenses through a one-day service.
Taking a look at the news in detail, Mindfulness Meditation Center Kovina of the Los Angeles Buddhist Vihara held religious observances to invoke blessings on the devotees with the dawn of the year 2024.
ලැබුවා වූ 2024 වර්ෂය ලෝකවාසී ඔබ සැමටත් ශ්‍රී ලංකාවාසී ඔබ සැමටත් සාමය සතුට සෞභාග්‍ය පිරි ශ්‍රී සුබ නව වසරක් වේවා. මේ පැතුම MMC TV USA අපි විති.
Today, at the very first day of the New Year 2024, we monks and you devotees, we got together here at this beautiful meditation center, spiritual center, to get the blessings of the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha.
The event, which was organized under the guidance of CEO of the MMC TV, Venerable Markandure Dhammapithithera, was attended by a large number of Sri Lankan expats in Los Angeles, including Dr. Walter Jayasinghe, founder of Sri Lanka Foundation International USA. A presentation on the future activities of the MMC TV was also held.
Buddha like a light to this world. Buddha's wisdom dispel the darkness of ignorance in this world. So I offer this light to the Supreme Buddha to appreciate his wisdom and his knowledge and his panya wisdom, which conducive to dispel the darkness of this world.
World Health Organization says Sri Lanka is free from deadly hepatitis B disease. This comes after an expert panel verified that the two countries have had consistently high coverage of hepatitis B vaccine doses in infants and a low prevalence of the deadly disease, corroborated through serological surveys conducted recently in both countries. The expert panel for verification of hepatitis B control in WHO Southeast Asia region reviewed childhood immunization data from the Maldives and Sri Lanka that showed consistent over 90% coverage with hepatitis B vaccine doses provided during infancy for the past many years. The experts also reviewed the findings of national surveys conducted among children in 2022 to 2023 in these countries. Notably, the two countries joined Bangladesh, Bhutan, Nepal, and Thailand, who achieved the same feat in 2019, WHO stated in the release. Preventing hepatitis B infection in infancy substantially reduces chronic infections and cases of liver cancer and cirrhosis in adulthood. Meanwhile, hepatitis control continues to be an important public health initiative in the Southeast Asia region of WHO, which comprises 11 countries and is home to a quarter of the world's population. The region has an estimated 60 million people living with chronic hepatitis B, and 218,000 people dying every year of hepatitis B and C. Of the people eligible for antiviral treatment, only about 10% know their status and less than 5% of them are on treatment. In 2016, the Southeast Asia Regional Immunization Technical Advisory Group endorsed a regional goal of hepatitis B control with a target of reducing hepatitis B prevalence to less than 1% among children aged at least 5 years. Hepatitis B vaccine as a part of the pentavalent vaccine has been included in the National Childhood Immunization Schedule of all countries of the region, with 3 doses of this vaccine provided to children during their first year of life. 8 countries of the region also have a policy of providing a birth dose of the hepatitis B vaccine to newborn babies. According to WHO, the region made good progress in improving immunization coverage of the pentavalent vaccine until 2019. However, there was a decline in coverage in several countries of the region in 2020 and 2021 following the COVID-19 pandemic. Sri Lanka has lost 50 elephants last year due to unauthorized and illegal use of power lines. The authorities asked the public to immediately inform the CEB through the hotline number 1987 of unauthorized or illegal connection of electricity supply to fences or wires. It has been observed that people tend to lay illegal power lines around their farmlands, aiming to protect them from wild elephants. According to calculations, out of the 6,000 wild elephant population in Sri Lanka, 474 wild elephants have died due to various human activities in the year 2023 alone. Among them, it is reported that about 50 wild elephants have died due to unauthorized use of electricity supply of the CEB as farmers electrocute fences or wires. The CEB has already taken various measures regarding this illegal act and expects people's support to protect the wild elephant resources of our country. The wild elephant resource, which was a symbol of the biodiversity of our country, is under threat of extinction day by day due to human activities. The public need to unite with CEB against the destruction of the elephant resource, which has been of religious and cultural importance since ancient times and contributes to strengthening the economy in the country by being attracted and loved by local and foreign tourists. Sri Lanka will record the best year for tourism this year as the country is expected to pass the 2.4 million arrival mark and amass a revenue in the excess of $4 billion, which would be an all-time record, said Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau. 2024 tourism success would be increased by attracting 5 million arrivals for 2029. Out of this number, 2.5 million tourists would be upmarket tourists spending over $500 million per day. Sri Lanka tourism started the year positively, recording 101,362 arrivals from January 1st to the 15th of 2024. The main tourism arrival generating market for Sri Lanka for the second month in succession was Russian Federation, with 16,263 and accounting to 16% of the total number. The recovery of Chinese outbound tourism plays a significant role in Sri Lankan tourism, and that Chinese arrivals will pick up and it will pass the 250,000 mark this year. Colombo-bound airlines from China have already announced plans to increase frequency. The Middle East tension would not have a negative impact for Gulf arrivals, and that for the first time, Sri Lanka will also be elevated from a seasonal destination to year-round destination, and there would be no more seasons and off-seasons. Transport Ministry to issue permanent driving licenses through a one-day service. The state minister outlined plans to elevate all district officers responsible for issuing driving licenses to the status of the head office in Verahara by the end of the year. Ali Gevanna, elaborating on the transportation initiatives under President Ranil Wickremesinghe's guidance, emphasized the ministry's commitment to delivering efficient public transport services through modern technology. He highlighted the ongoing programs and the ministry's efforts to amend the existing Motor Vehicle Act, introducing a new act. In the interest of road safety, steps are being taken to streamline the speed limit process to reduce accidents. While alcohol detection is currently operational for drivers, a new initiative targets legal action against drivers under the influence of drugs, implemented nationwide since this year, with an initial phase in the western and southern provinces. To enhance driver education and safety, plans are afoot to implement a program to inform drivers about first aid in the event of an accident, with future intentions to incorporate related questions into the driver's license test. With approximately 8.9 million vehicles and 8.5 million licensed drivers in the country, efforts are underway to standardize all district officers issuing licenses to the level of the Verahara head office by year end. Further developments include facilitating driver's licenses for foreigners at airports by April and resolving the current challenges in license issuance by October. The commitment extends to replacing temporary licenses with permanent ones through expedited one-day services. Sri Lanka Foundation Academy of Performing Arts School in Los Angeles warmly welcomed new students for the 2024 academic year. Sri Lanka Foundation Academy of Performing Arts School in Los Angeles warmly welcomed its new batch of students with great enthusiasm and pride on January 14, 2024. The ceremony was adorned by the presence of the chairman of the Sri Lanka Foundation, Dr. Walter Jayasinghe, and his beloved wife, Ayesha Jayasinghe, the president of the Sri Lanka Foundation, Dr. Dishan Jayasinghe, and senior operations director of the Sri Lanka Foundation, Achala Veerasinghe. In attendance were teachers, students, and their parents at the Academy of Performing Arts School. Achala Veerasinghe extended a warm welcome to both students, parents, and all the participants, expressing her thoughts.
Your children will be exposed to the children of the world and to the Sri Lanka. Now we are in collaboration with TV studios in Sri Lanka. So our Sri Lanka Day will be broadcast all over Sri Lanka.
This was followed by the welcome speeches from Dr. Walter Jayasinghe, Dr. Dishan Jayasinghe, and one of the senior teachers of SLF Academy of Performing Arts School, Umendra Kahandavarachi, constituting a significant portion of the event. APA school graduates and existing students had the opportunity to address the audience and share their experiences with the dance in school. Parents, in turn, had the chance to meet with the school teachers and the management. At the enrollment event, all the students took part in Sri Lanka Day 2023 were presented with certificates acknowledging their performance. These certificates were handed out by Dr. Walter Jayasinghe and his beloved wife, Ayesha Jayasinghe, conveying their heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of them. The videos of the APA workshop series and previous cultural workshops presented by the Sri Lanka Foundation and Academy of Performing Arts were much enjoyed by all the participants. The special video of the MMC TV added vibrancy to this splendid event, and TV channel details were shared with all the participants. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon expects the US economy to avoid a big slowdown this year, but warned that inflation could remain more stubborn than expected and weigh on growth. Solomon said that it's been more constructive than we would have expected, and there's a risk, particularly around labor, food, gas, that inflation could be stickier than people expect. U.S. consumer price inflation on a 12-month basis rose to 3.4% in December from 3.1% the month before. But excluding volatile food and energy costs, the pace of price increases fell to 3.9% from 4%, showing ongoing moderation in underlying price pressures. The Federal Reserve is gauging whether inflation is headed firmly enough back to the central bank's 2% target to allow policymakers to reduce interest rates in coming months. A year ago, market participants were concerned that the Fed's aggressive campaign to raise borrowing costs would trigger an economic slump, but consumers and businesses have remained resilient and the job market has held up. Solomon said there was a good chance that you had a real slowdown in the economy, but we've had a much softer landing. His comments come a day after Goldman reported fourth quarter profit that beat estimates. The Wall Street giant's equity traders capitalized on a market recovery, and revenue from asset and wealth management rose, offsetting weaker investment banking. The Inland Revenue Department says people can obtain assistance for tax payments directly from the department through the hotline number 1944. The Inland Revenue Department highlights the importance of following guidelines issued by the authorities and to use the services of authorized tax consultants and auditors. The department has taken measures to open offices to facilitate the general public when paying their taxes and to ease the process of obtaining the newly introduced Taxpayer Identification Number, or TIN. The services of the Inland Revenue Department can also be obtained from its regional offices. The department has made arrangements via its official website www.ird.gov.lk to provide tax-related services. The Inland Revenue Department is the country's top tax collecting authority, and it is planning to devise a centralized system to collect information pertaining to personal income by linking up with other departments and institutions. Seasoned professional Joni Simpson has assumed duties as the new director for the International Labour Organization Country Office for Sri Lanka and the Maldives. The appointment was made by the ILO Director General Gilbert Hubo. Ms. Simpson brings with her over 25 years of experience of working on gender equality and inclusion in the world of work. Prior to her appointment in Sri Lanka, Ms. Simpson served as ILO Senior Specialist on Gender Equality and Non-Discrimination, covering East Asia, Southeast Asia, and the Pacific, where she shaped ILO efforts on eliminating discrimination, violence, and harassment at work, enhancing the provision of care policies and services, and promoting ILO's Business and Disability Network, to name a few. She was also the interim director for the ILO country office in Kathmandu, Nepal in early 2023. Previously, she led ILO's global efforts on women's entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship education based at ILO headquarters in Geneva. A national of Canada, Ms. Simpson holds a master's degree in cultural anthropology and a Bachelor of Education. Israel and Hamas have reached a deal to allow more humanitarian aid into war-ravaged Gaza, Qatari mediators say. Qatari mediators say that under a deal brokered by Qatar and France, medicines will be given to hostages held by Hamas. In return, Israel will allow more basic supplies into Gaza. Conditions in the territory are dire after more than 3 months of Israeli bombardment. Meanwhile, the US says it is hopeful that further talks could lead to the release of more hostages. The US Middle East envoy has been in Qatar to discuss the possibility of such a deal, White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby said on Tuesday. The discussions were very serious and intensive, he added. We are hopeful it will bear fruit and bear fruit soon. Under the deal, the humanitarian supplies will leave the Qatari capital Doha for Egypt on Wednesday. The aid will then be taken to Gaza to be delivered to civilians, while medicines are to reach Israeli captives. More than 132 hostages are thought to be still held in Gaza. About 240 people were captured by Hamas in a series of raids in southern Israel on 7th October. Some 1,300 people, mainly civilians, were killed. In a letter sent to Israel's war cabinet after a ceasefire ended last year, the hostages' families' headquarters group said many abductees needed regular medical attention and some were in immediate danger. The Hamas attacks in October triggered Israel's intense bombardment of Gaza, which has killed more than 24,000 people so far, most of them women and children, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. Palestinian officials say that 85% of Gaza's population has been displaced. While more aid is now getting into Gaza, the UN's humanitarian chief has described the situation as intolerable. Israel is coming under increasing international pressure to consider a ceasefire or pause in Gaza. Such is the scale of the civilians' suffering. Pakistan recalled its ambassador from Tehran after denouncing the attack and barred Iran's envoy to Islamabad, who is traveling from returning to Pakistan. Islamabad accused Iran of violating Pakistani airspace, and Iranian state media said missiles targeted two bases of armed groups Jaish al-Adl. The Jaish al-Adl, which is blacklisted by Iran as a terror group, claimed responsibility for a police station attack in the Iranian town of Rask on the southeastern border province of Sistan-Balkistan, which killed 11 Iranian security personnel. The attack was condemned by Pakistan. Pakistani military's media wing, the Inter-Services Public Relations, released a statement saying armed terrorists killed two Pakistani soldiers at a checkpoint in the Singwan area of the Kesh district. Pakistan contacted Iranian authorities to thwart attempts by fighters to escape into Iran. Jaish al-Adl armed group has been launching attacks against Iranian border guards since at least 2013, during which 14 Iranian forces were killed in an ambush near the border. In 2014, at least 5 members of the Iranian security forces were also abducted. In December 2010, 41 people were killed and 90 others wounded after a suicide attack near a mosque in Chabahar.
Well, that's all the news we have for you today, but you can also find us on POTV, Samsung TV, LG TV, Apple TV, YouTube and Facebook Live, reaching the entire United States and the globe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Until next week, have a wonderful week ahead.
Catch the full program and more. Subscribe to MMC TV USA on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok